Have you ever wanted to know how to increase your health in the office and potentially your co-workers or your employees' health? Hello, my successful and healthy earthlings. Mihaela here, naturopath and founder of the Natural Health Podcast. In today's episode, you're going to learn just how to do that, how to increase your health in the office and also potentially your co-workers' health with one simple adjustment. Welcome to the Natural Health Podcast, where we bring awareness of sustainable health in the business hustle space. Natural Health Podcast is perfect for the high-performing, business-minded individuals who want to work with their biochemistry to achieve optimal health and success. It's Mondays. That's right. It's Mondays with Mihaela. That's right, me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I absolutely love, and appreciate your support. Today's topic is such an interesting one. What we're going to talk about just that. We're going to talk about how to improve your health in the office. We're going to go through the sedentary disease, the magic workplace intervention, and then 3 tips how to improve your health in the office. Let's get started. Mondays, I'm here to provide you with simple, savvy, and sustainable health hacks to optimize your health. And that is exactly what we're going to do in this episode today. Let's start off with talking about the sedentary disease, sedentary lifestyle. So sitting down. It's been known as the new smoking. A lot of research is coming out and saying, hey, everyone that's sitting for such a prolonged period of time, it is not good for your health. Let's look into a little bit more. The fact that the World Health Organization has ranked physical inactivity the 4th largest killer globally. That is not just in Australia, not just in the USA, Canada, New Zealand, and so forth, but globally, being inactive. Being inactive usually means that you're sitting and not moving, right? A 2017 paper by the Sedentary Behavioral Research Network defined sedentary behavior as an activity involving sitting, reclining, or lying down which has a very low energy expenditure. And it is a huge issue here in Australia. Research suggests that only 21% of adults are meeting the physical activity guidelines, with less than 5% performing 30 minutes of physical activity per day. So if you're performing more than 30 minutes of physical activity a day, you are that minor 5% of individuals that are doing that. Okay, that is absolutely crazy. Now let's look at some statistics, right? Let's bring it up here. If you're watching it on YouTube, we've got a little graph and I'm going to explain what it's looking at. So when the level of physical activity is considered for Australian adults, more people reported a sedentary lifestyle of physical activity than higher levels of physical activity. So let's look into it. So we have high levels of physical activity. It shows as 15 or so percent, which is 2.5 million people. This was done about 10 years ago, 2011, 2012. So I wonder how that's changed, right? We can see that right there. Moderate, we can see that moderate is about 28%, I believe, of adults. We can see a low level of physical activity is 35% of adults. And then we can see sedentary, no movement at all, or in a way, it's 21%, or 3.6 million Australians are not moving. They are sitting or laying down, right? So person who has these are some interesting facts that this study came out about too. It says people who have no non-school qualification reported higher levels of sedentary physical activity, which is 27%, and those who were postgraduate degree, 9%. So this is essentially saying individuals who have higher education are more likely to be active, and individuals who don't are more likely to be less active. This can take also in consideration individuals who have a disability, individuals who are not able to work and so forth. These are things that could be taken in consideration why they are not active. So Australians sit almost 10 hours each day on an average. You're sitting for 10 hours. This doesn't include sleeping or laying down. So 10 hours of your day, which is people's work day, you are sitting. When you think about it, right, when we think about us humans, we are not made to sit for a long period of time. We weren't born sitting. Kids usually don't sit, they move around, and it's not a normal posture or not a normal stance that we're supposed to be in. It causes a lot of strain on our hips, our knees, and so forth, right? So in recent years, a variety of major international research has produced compelling evidence that sitting for more than 4 hours leads to. That's more than 4 hours. And an Australian average is 10 hours of sitting. So imagine that, right? So it can lead to enzymes responsible for burning harmful blood fat shutting down, reduce calorie burning, impacting your metabolic rate, disturbed blood sugar levels, increased insulin and blood pressure levels. And essentially also some of the muscles, including in the legs, may switch off. So recent research is starting to confirm something that we have believed for a long time, the health risks associated with sitting and a sedentary lifestyle. Studies have now demonstrated that leading a sedentary lifestyle can contribute to, are we ready for this? Because these are major health issues all around the world. And this is something that you don't want to get. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, dementia, depression, some type of cancers, and even early death has been linked to living a sedentary lifestyle. So next time you're sitting down and watching that movie, not that there's anything wrong with that, but there is if it's for a longer period of time, such as 4-10 hours, or gaming, or working, if you're sitting for such a long period of time, think about that impacting your health, right? Especially in these conditions that are so widespread all around Australia and the world. One study actually analysed data collecting over 15 years and found that sedentary lifestyle were associated with an increased risk of early death regardless of physical activity levels. That is mind-blowing. That is absolutely mind-blowing. This study shows that it is essential to reduce the amount of time spent sedentary in addition to doing more exercise. And I'm going to talk about that later on, just because you're exercising in the morning and then you're sitting for 8 hours and exercising, you think you're offsetting it, but are you? One study with 10,381 participants associated with a sedentary lifestyle and lack of physical activity with a higher risk of developing mental health disorders. So if you or someone you know may have a mental health disorder, ask them, how much do they move? You know, you may not have the newest Fitbit, the newest Garmin or so forth on your wrist or on your finger to determine how many steps you're doing. But if you have your phone on you, you can actually check how many steps you're doing on an average. And it can even go back to monthly, yearly. And if your step count or your activity is very limited, that might be an issue and something definitely to look into. And especially if you have any mental health issues, right? It turns out that even if you are active, even if you achieve all your physical activity goals, but remain seated 8 or more hours a day, you cannot undo the negative effects of excessive sitting. So what I'm saying is here that I know that you probably do, and I know I've done in the past, and I sometimes do, is I go for that walk in the morning. I feel absolutely amazing. And then what do? I sit at my desk for 8 hours sometimes 5. And then I may go to the gym after work. But what this study is saying is the fact that it's not going to offset it if you sit for more than 8 hours. So you can kind of lead to where I'm getting at, how to improve your health, right? The average Australian worker spends almost 33 hours per week at a workplace. Those working full-time in jobs that involve mostly sitting spend an average of 6.3 hours per day sitting at work. That is an alarming amount of time sitting at work. There are currently no Australian government Department of Health guidelines on how long an adult should sit. You know, the Australian government's got guidelines on so many things, but essentially they don't really have guidelines on how long you should actually sit. In 2015, the British Journal of Sports Medicine published their first expert statement recommending accumulation of 2 hours a day of standing and light activity during work hours, eventually proceeding to 4. The recommendations come from an international group of experts who say that there is a growing case for change towards better health and productivity based on the current body of scientific evidence. So this is saying that maybe sitting at a workplace is not the best way to get the most out of your employees. And this is where it leads me to the next segment, the magic workplace intervention. Let's talk about this magic workplace intervention. And the reason why I brought this up is because I came across an absolutely amazing study, like I always do. And this study was published on the 27th of October, 2020. And it looked at, this is an interesting one, okay? So in this instance, saying in the US, the most developed countries spend 70 to 80% of their work time sitting. It's associated with chronic disease and premature mortality, death. They tested a multi-level workplace intervention with and without sit-stand workstations to reduce sitting time and lower cardiometabolic risks. So the study was ran between January 2016 to December 2017, included government agencies across the United States, included about 670 employees. They had one, which was it was called MoveX, which is a multi-level behavioral intervention targeting increased in LPA at the worksite. Or they had, so essentially Move was getting interventions to move, right? To move around. So you're sitting and then you're moving and so forth. Whereas B was Stand Plus. So it included the Move interventions along with newly installed sit-stand workstations to allow employees to sit or stand at their desk whilst working. The secondary endpoint was a clustered cardiometabolic risk score, which included blood pressure, glucose, insulin, triglycerides, and HDL cholesterol at 12 months. So this was a 12-month study that they did. So they put people in two different groups, like I mentioned, one which was movement, and the other one which was movement and sit and stand desks. And then they measured all of these blood tests to see what their cardiometabolic rate was, what their risk was in regards to getting heart disease and heart issues, right? So a multi-level workplace intervention that included the use of sit-stand workstations are effective at large reductions in sitting over the time of 12 months. So essentially it reduced the amount, of sitting these 630 employees did. The results, are we ready for it? I'm going to read it out here. The results indicated that sit-stand workstations can reduce sitting time at work by approximately 1 hour/workday over 12 months. In those with pre-diabetic and diabetes, they observed trends towards clinical improvement in cardiometabolic risk and body weight. Future research should include more experimental studies, including the population of high risk of diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So this is just looking at cardiovascular disease and diabetes. But these stand-up desks reduce the amount of time that we spend sitting. And if we go back to what I said, what the research said, what sitting causes, it causes obesity, type 2 diabetes, some types of cancers, cardiovascular disease, dementia, mental health issues, depression, even early death. So essentially, not that this is a given and hasn't been researched, but these can reduce the risk of them or can impact them in a way. This is mind-blowing. And it's just a simple intervention of a stand-up desk at work, right? I have one right here. I'm recording my podcast on my stand-up desk. I am standing right now. I try to stand at most of my podcasts because I know the benefit of not sitting for a long period of time at my desk. I know what that does to my health. I know what that does to so many other aspects of my body. Okay, so in addition to that, there is actually a campaign. It's called Get Australia Standing. I love it, right? It's a dynamic campaign to increase awareness and education of the dangers of sedentary working and prolonged sitting time. Regular minor movements while at work are essential for us to 1. Keep our bodies healthy, 2. Prevent illness and relieve stress, 3. Liberate us and make us more productive. What an amazing campaign. Stand behind it 110%. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And I think there should be more guidelines put into place at a government level, at a work level, and for us to take on and implement throughout our work and have stand-up desks more available for our employees, for ourselves, right? So active working and sit-standing workstations deliver a compelling solution, enabling us to mix up standing with intermittent periods of standing, so sitting and standing, which is so beneficial. If we understand how the body works, we understand how important it is for us to not be sitting for a large period of time. Now let's get into 3 tips to improve health in the office. You got it. Number 1 is a stand-up desk. Absolutely. They are absolutely amazing. You can get gadgets, as in you change them sitting up and down. You can get actual stand-up desks that are always stand-up desk, and you move your laptop, so you have hot desks where you move around so everyone can use them for a period of time. There's so many things that you can do to implement that into the workplace. So number 1 is having a stand-up desk. Number 2 is movement. So broad, but it involves so many things. If you are taking a phone call, get that phone call whilst going for a walk or while standing. Get your body moving. Take phone calls around standing up. Get moving. If you're taking a break, don't have a water bottle next to your table or your desk. Have the water bottle in the kitchen. So you actually need to walk there and get it. And then whilst talking or having your lunch or talking to a coworker or anyone, stand up. Get those stand-up meetings going on. Walk to someone's desk instead of emailing them. Get in touch with them and walk around more. Stand up. Put little timers on your phone to get you to stand, stretch, and so forth if you're unable to get the number 1, which was the stand-up desk. Number 3 is policy in the workplace to focus on health. And the number 1 key should be reduce sitting time. How amazing would it be to work for a workplace that actually cares about your health? Imagine going to a workplace where the policy is you are not to sit for longer than 2 hours at any given block. That will blow my mind. I would want to work there because it's going to say that you shouldn't sit for a long period of time because we want to get the most productivity out of you. But not only that, we want to look after your health. How amazing is that? So there you have it. 3 tips to improve health in the office. Now that you know how impactful or how bad sitting is, now you know exactly what you can do to ensure that you're not sitting for prolonged periods of time. So there you have it. Do what you do best. Love, like, share this episode with anyone who sits at work or that games or that watches TV or sits for a prolonged period of time. Share this episode with them so you can improve their health and they become educated about the dangers of a sedentary lifestyle. There you have it. Remember, the missing link between failure and success is your health.